So this diamond is called the ECB, the Environment Collision Box. It's responsible for all the collision detection, such as stopping you from going for walls and pushing another character. Most importantly, it's used for detecting landing. Landing happens when the ECB moves downwards onto the surface. There are 4 diamonds. For this video we only need to know about the light orange and the dark orange. The light orange is the position of the ECB on the current frame, and the dark orange is the position on the previous frame. It becomes pretty apparent when I start moving at high velocity. Every move, action, state, aerial, it has its own ECB pattern. The ECB pattern roughly resembles the bone structure of your character during the animation. Underneath the ECB is the base position star. This is a static marker for your base position. The no-impact land happens when your ECB moves downwards onto a surface with a velocity of greater than or equal to -1, negative velocity being downward velocity. The difference between a no-impact land and an impact land is a no-impact land only has 1 frame of landing lag, whereas an impact land has 4 frames of landing lag. A visual marker of an impact land is dust. No dust means a no impact land. There are many ways to achieve a no impact land, the obvious being a jump that is a similar height to a platform. This happens because Falco gains very little velocity when falling. Falcon cannot reach Yochi's top platform with a full hop, but he can reach it with a backwards full hop. This movement also triggers a no impact land. This happens because of the backward full hop's ECB pattern. When Falcon is backflipping, his ECB rises high up, high enough to be above the platform. Now that the ECB is above the platform, Falcon can start falling back down and land with little downward velocity, triggering a no impact land. Some ECB patterns have large downward extensions. Sometimes they are large enough to put your ECB at a lower point than the previous frame, even when your character is moving upwards. We can see this if we look at the back of the ECB, where the orange, the light orange, is at a lower point than the dark orange. If we space it correctly, we can use this downward extension. On one frame, we have the ECB above the platform. Then on the next frame, the ECB extends downwards and triggers a no impact land. DK, Jigs and Kirby have fixed ECBs. This means that the bottom of their ECB is always fixed to their base position, and thus cannot perform these kinds of no impact lands, or any of the following tech. The most commonly known AI is Samus's Upair. This happens because her Upair has a large downward extension on frames 3 and 4. So with the correct spacing, she can time an Upair so that on frame 2 she's above the platform, and then on frame 3 or 4 she can use the downward extension to trigger landing. She then goes into an impact land with 4 frames of landing lag. This is because she landed her up air in its auto cancel window. There are AIs that have regular landing lag, like Doc+, which lands on frame 4, past his auto cancel window. Going back to Falcon's backwards full hop on Yoshi's, we can use another type of AI to speed this up. An aerial's ECB pattern happens on frame 1. So if we aerial at a time when the ECB is high up, we will cause an instant downward extension. If the ECB is just above a platform, then we can use this downward extension to trigger landing. Falco cannot short hop from the mid to high platform. This is because the ECB pattern does not lift up high enough to be above the platform. But if Falco performs a dare at the peak of his jump, he can land. This is because the ECB pattern of the dare is relatively high up, higher up than the short hop, and high enough to be above the platform. Not all of his aerials work though, as the ECB pattern is just not high enough to be above the platform. An aerial interrupt attack is simply an AI with a hitbox. Doc's up air, as you already know, has an extension on frame 4. There's also an extension on frame 5. It's very small, but it's there. With correct spacing, we can space it so that Doc is above the platform on the first hitbox frame, and then on the second, with the second downward extension, we can trigger landing. So now we've got a hitbox, and on the following frame we enter landing lag. Whenever your character goes airborne, the bottom of their ECB will be fixed to the base position star for 9 frames, and on the 10th frame it updates to its regular airborne state. So if I perform a jump, you can count first airborne frame, second, third, fourth, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. You can see it's updated to a higher position. This is its regular airborne state, and it has its own pattern, which will follow until you land again. This also happens when you fall off an edge, and also when you drop from a platform. Any time that you go airborne. This still happens when you perform aerials during this time. It will still be locked to the base position, and always updates on the 10th airborne frame. If Falco performs a bear on the earliest frame possible after dropping through a platform, you will see the update occur on the 10th airborne frame like normal. If Falco's bear hits someone, he will land back on the platform. This is because it counts through hit lag. So if we count first airborne frame, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. You can see it's updated to its higher airborne state and now is above the platform. So all we have to do is wait until the end of hit lag, input an L cancel, and we've landed. There are many reasons why an aerial can be platform cancelled, whether the ECB pattern is high up, how fast the aerial is, how strong it is, and thus how long the hit lag is, and how fast the character falls. You can also perform platform cancels from shield drops, as the mechanics are identical. I said earlier that the ECB is fixed to the base position for 9 frames when going airborne. While this is true, it isn't that it's fixed to the base position, it's that it's fixed to the position it was in before you go airborne. This is also true for double jumping. So now on the 9th frame of a full hop, it will update on the next frame. Instead, I do a double jump, and now it's fixed to this position for 9 more frames. But you don't have to have it fixed to the base position. Instead, you can pick any frame of the ECB pattern. I can prove this with Magus's debug tool. If you look at the right green number, this shows the offset between the base position and the bottom of the ECB. So now I can pick this frame with an offset of 3.67, double jump from here, and it will be fixed at 3.67 for 9 frames. And on the 10th, it will resume its regular pattern. If we pick a frame that has a high up ECB, like Luigi's platform drop, you can see that on the 10th double jump frame, we get a significant downward extension. So if Luigi spaces so that on the 9th frame he is above the platform, you can use this update to trigger landing, and this will cause a no impact land because you have a greater velocity than -1. As I mentioned earlier, this update will always happen on the 10th frame, even if you aerial beforehand. This means with an aerial ECB low enough, we can cause a downward extension mid-aerial, which will cause landing. But as we know, hit lag does not stop the counter. So if we perform an aerial immediately, and it connects while the ECB is below the platform, this update will become useless to us. So for that reason, we must time the aerial. We need to have the aerial so that it is above the platform, but close enough so that when it updates, it will trigger landing. Many characters perform backflips from their backwards jumps. When they backflip, the ECB is relatively high up, so we can double jump from these frames and fix the ECB at this high position. But some characters' ECB patterns on their double jump is also relatively high up, so there isn't much difference when it updates. But instead we can perform an aerial. When we form the aerial, we can have a significant downward extension. But even with this downward extension, Falco has such great vertical velocity that it's hard for him to position himself to use this effectively. For him we have to use hit lag. When we use hit lag, we can freeze him in place, we can have them exactly where we want, so that when it updates, it will touch the platform and trigger landing. Shiny is a unique special, and it is the only special you can double jump out of. Shine also has a relatively high up ECB. So if we double jump from it, we can use it for platform warp aerials. Shine's ECB is not as high as Falco's backwards hop, so we can only use Nair, which has the lowest ECB of Falco's aerials.